Jesus is going to rule, right? I'm not hearing the church. He's going to do what? And he's going to reign. Now, but we are going to have a detail of his government. This is my pursuit. This is why, since I know this has been my driving force. The first person that speaks of his government is Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6 and verse 7. Can we have it? Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6 and verse 7. Now Isaiah began to prophesy about the birth of Jesus. Please listen to this. I said that when rapture take place, that will be the beginning of chaos. That will be what? Chaos. Because the very minute that rapture did what? Would take place. This thing I'm telling you will happen live. Imagine when a plane that carries up to 214 passengers and the pilot there was a believer and he disappeared. What do you think will happen to the 214 passengers? You know, when you enter plane, immediately you enter plane, they call you soul. That's aviation terms. How many souls were in the plane? Not that many persons. Why are they calling you souls? Because they know you are above the earth realm, so you are now a spirit being. Anything can happen to you. You can only be counted as souls. Now, what do you think if a train that carry up to 800 passengers, the one that drive the train was a believer, and then he disappeared? What do you think will happen to the train? Now imagine in an hour globally, how many planes take off in an hour? Okay, thousands of planes. Now let's say out of 1,300 were believers. And as the time the rapture, the trumpet sound, they disappeared, they vanished, they were caught up. What do you think will happen to the 300 planes? That is when there will be a lot of chaos in the face of the earth. Now, both the plane and the train and the... Okay. How many individuals do you know have vehicle that they are driving on earth? Like now, how many cars, you know, are plying the road? Okay. Now, if the trumpet should sound, how many Okada do you think they are driving now? How many bicycles? Now, how many ships do you think is sailing now in the high sea? Now, immediately the trumpet sound and captain disappear. What do you think will happen? That is why I said that rapture will be the beginning of chaos on the face of the earth. It is that chaos that all the radio stations, the TV channel, the bloggers, and all the media houses, they won't be able to give us the exact figure of the souls that left, because there will be much death on earth, and there will be, because the force that will carry the saint out is going to affect creations. It's going to affect creations in such a way that the galaxies will be affected. The solar system will be shaken. That is the beginning of sorrow in the face of the earth. Now we are talking of economic meltdown in some countries, instability of economics, and hunger, starvation, insecurity. That will be the open door that will give birth to the man of iniquity, the one you call the Antichrist. Because at that time, the world will be shaken. All the presidents, do you know that even presidents of nations now are looking for help? You can agree with me that even your president is borrowing money from other nations. Nigeria is owing China, UK, different countries. When nations will experience this, because it's going to be globally. How many nations do we have in the world now? Who can tell me the exact? Can you imagine that? That would be the reason when a president of a country will announce someone, because he's going to start from his own country to stabilize things. I'm going to show you something as we look at Bible today. Are you hearing me? This service will take us just 1 hour 30 minutes before we close. But within this 1 hour 30 minutes, you will learn. Now, when the earth will be at that phase of atrocity, don't forget that the saints are already where? Now, the earth will be stabilized for 3.5 years. That is what Antichrist will do. He will come as the world peace. Don't forget, Jesus is called the Prince of. Now he will come as one that will bring peace all over the world. That is what will make the whole earth run after him, because the scent has been taken away. Oh, glory to Jesus. We are no more in this place again. We are out of here. No more church. Imagine now church is still available. They are preaching. People are sleeping with dog. Those days when you grow up, if somebody cloth torn, he will look for a tailor. That was why we have these people. How do they call them? Obioma. But these days, do you know madness is you can use your money to buy a tall jean. They said it's fashion. It's because we are driving toward the edge of the Spirit of God leaving the earth. Please follow me. To you, you may think it's fashion. But when you are a child of God, you will know that this is not our lifestyle. We are in the world, but we are not of the world. Now, you understand that the world will be stabilized for 3.5 years. He's going to preach peace. He's going to settle the Arab nations' crisis with the Israeli. All the nations that have war, is going to settle them. There will be peace on earth. For how many years? After 3.5 years, because the ministry, now the reason is going to bring peace, please write, for 3.5 years is because Jesus' ministry was how many years? 3.5 years. So he also come in the platform of peace. For how many years? 3.5 years. There will be global stability a little bit. There will be peace, no more war. Like what we are seeing now between the Russia and the Ukraine. There will be stability. Everybody will take order from him. He will become #1 man in the whole world. Now, I'm going to teach on the government of Antichrist. By then you will see one world religion. One world what? Okay, because the church has left. So no more denomination. You will not say I'm Catholic, go to Catholic church. No. Every building that belongs to a church will be confiscated by government. They only bring one place of worship. Whether you are Buddhist, you are Shinto, you are Rastafarian, you are Muslim, you are a left behind Christian, everybody worship in that same hall. Right now there is a move, the collaboration of Islam and Christian, they call it Christlam. It's already moving. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that after the 3.5 years, there's going to be the manifestation of his rebeing. How many of you know character is like pregnancy? You can't hide it forever. You can pretend for a while, but after a little while, you do what? You show up your true character. Then after 3.5 years, the Bible said so. He will not come out. Now, all those, please listen, all those left behind Christians that did not go with rapture, they will still be gathering in little places to worship. God. But God will no longer answer them. Because immediately the Holy Ghost left, the earth is closed between heaven and earth. What happened between Malachi and Matthew for 400 years would took place. God will no longer answer anybody that's on earth again. Jesus have nothing to do with the world again. He has taken his own out. Somebody's not hearing me. Are we together? Now, those that were left behind, the Christians that heard this truth, that were aware of the truth, but they were not serious with their spiritual life. They fell along the way, they missed rapture. They would know that, pastor used to tell us about rapture, but we have missed it. When you miss rapture, you will know. You will know. And the worst of it is that you know it will happen, but you were not prepared for it. I've come to a point that nothing take me back again. I've made up my mind. Child of God, hear this. When Antichrist will now bring out his own policy. His own what? Policy. Yes. For identification purpose. Number one. For what? That's why the mark will be given. Number two. He will tell you is to cut down crimes. To cut down what? You are not writing. To cut down crimes. Number three, he will say is to checkmate internet fraud. Is to do what? Because the level of internet fraud that's going on now is too high. Is it true? Okay, so the reason for the mark of the beast, it is Christians that knows that it is the mark of the beast. But the world, without the Holy Spirit, they would think is a new policy, which is good to cut down internet fraud or to checkmate internet fraud. Two, for easily identification. For easily what? Yes. For easily identification, so that you can be identified. In case you steal anything in America and fly to Africa, they can pick you. And then number four reason for the mark of the beast is, they will tell you, is for curtailing of international passport, your finance, your document. So it's cheap for you. Come on. It is for you to pay your bills. To pay what? Your bills. Somebody's not with me here. Are we together? Okay. That is the reason they'll bring out this mark of the beast. Also, you have to receive it. Like now, there's a microchip. Now, is somebody hearing what I'm saying? That is already available now. People are receiving it. Your account number is there. Your house key is there. Your house address is there. You don't need international passport. Your passport ID number is already there. Now, the reason, listen to this. The reason the Bible tells us the two places it will be inserted or planted is either your right hand or where? Your forehead. Now, ask me why. The part of you that work most is your right hand. How many of you know the part of you that work most is your right hand? Now, if you are a lefty, they will plant it on your left hand because that's the hand you use most. That's the hand that generates energy. Number two reason why it will be on your forehead. How many of you, when you were small, if they want to know whether you have high temperature, where do they touch? Your forehead. Because this is a place that generates temperature. So, to keep it charged. To keep it what? It must either be on your right hand or your forehead. Now, when that will happen, listen. The only set of people that will not receive it will be Christians. Will be who? That were taught, that their pastor knew these things and taught them. But along the line, in their carelessness, they missed rapture. They knew that the Bible said, whosoever that receive his mark is doomed forever. Because at the receiving of that mark, you become an alien. Your mind will no longer be controlled by you. Your mind will be controlled by the chips. So they can project a thought into your heart. Your mind is accessible. Your mind is accessible. That is why anyone that received that mark does not think like a being that God created. They have lost that capacity, that godly capacity to think in a godly manner. Their emotions has been affected. Their will has been hijacked. Their mind has been polluted. So it's easy to access their thoughts and implement the dragonistic thought and plan. So you begin to do things outside your will. Everyone that received that mark will become a Superman. No fear of God anymore, because the Spirit of God that brings the fear of God has left the earth. Now, those that their pastor knew this truth and taught them that they were left behind, they will be the one that will say, no, we will not receive the mark. Hello? Now, since they said they will not receive what? The mark. They will be tagged as rebels. They will now become the enemy of the government of the day. They will now become what? Yes. And don't forget, this will be a global announcement carried out globally. So you can't run from Nigeria to Ghana. No, let me run from Lagos to my village. It's a global thing. All the government of the earth, the president of the earth will sit and agree. And then he implement his policy. Now it is at that time that they will say to you, anyone that don't have it will not buy, will not sell. And so even if you have your cryptocurrency, your bitcoins, you will not be able to access them. Your money in the bank, you will not be able to access them. All your properties as a Christian then will be confiscated, because everything after rapture will no longer be an individual property. It will become government property. And so it is the government of the day that will regulate the policy on how food are being shared. What you saw they did in COVID-19 was a testing of the microphone. Government sharing food, sharing jobs. And as the 3.5 months, the second quarter, God will begin to deal with them. Come on. God will begin to do what? Revelation 16. Now, look at the state of the earth. It is this state of the earth that I want you to see first before the government of Jesus. Revelation 16 from verse 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels. How many angels? Go your way and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon what? The earth. Now, wahala don't come. The word vial here means what? Anger. That was why when you saw that, I feel like revealing something. How many of you know that in 1 Samuel chapter 10, the Bible said, and Saul anointed, and Samuel anointed David with a vial of oil. He means he was anointed with the wrath of God. Hallelujah. But when it comes to David, he said, fill your horn with jar. your horn with oil. But when it comes to Saul, it was a vial of oil. That means judgment was poured on his head. But when it comes to David, he was carrying the re-anointing of mercy. That was why the sin that David committed was more than the sin of Saul. But yet, God spared him. See, there are people that they have covenant with God. Don't fight them. Verse 2, please be fast. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth. And there was what? Everybody, let's read. There was what? Noisome and grievous sore upon who? Men which had what? Stop. The first anger of God is upon the people that have that chips, the mark. At this time now, their forehead will begin to burst. Poop. Their hand will begin to what? Somebody talk to me now. Anywhere the chips is being planted, it's going to burst. It become wound. Sore. Don't forget that sore is the grandmother of wound. It has no cure. So at this time, there will be no cure. So you see people forehead with big wounds. And the wound will be, expanding every day. That is the punishment that will come upon those that will miss rapture, that will receive the mark. Now I want you to take this thing very serious before you know how you build your relationship with God. Not because you want money, you want car. Not because you just want a husband, you want this or that. You should know why God gave Jesus and why God is calling us. So the first punishment was on the people that received the mark. Okay, imagine millions that will receive the mark. Imagine you wake up in the morning, everybody is having the same sickness, the same wound, the same sore. Hot smelling everywhere. Okay, the next verse. Please be fast. Verse 3. Verse 3. And the second angel vial was upon what? And what happened? And it became as the blood of what? And every living thing died in the sea. Now imagine when the sea, all the fishes, and everything is dead. So you want to fetch water. The order of water safe. How many of you came from village? I came from a village. There are dry seasons that some little river in our village used to dry where we go to fish. Some fish we put, there's this gamalin. When you go there after 3-4 days, they are smelling. Now look at what will happen upon the earth. Verse number 4. Now the third angel punishment is targeting the fountains of water. Targeting where? And every water in this world shall become blood. Now you can have water to drink. But after rapture, it shall become blood. I pray you will not be here. The next scriptures. And I heard the angel of the water says, thou art righteous. Now, this is the reason, even angels, the angel that poured the anger of God upon the fountains of water and it became blood. Look at what the angel said. He said, God, you are right in your judgment. Because these people were killing believers. It's time that you gave them blood also to drink. And they heard the angel of the water says, thou art righteous, O Lord, which are and was and shall become, thou hast judged thus. For they have shed the blood of who? The saint and who? The prophet. And thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. That punishment is as a result of all the pastors they have been killing. All the prophets. From the days of old. They cut off the head of John the Baptist. They stoned Stephen to death. They cut Andrew into two. They banished John into the island of Patmos. They killed Paul, cut off his head. All the prophets that have been killed from the beginning of creation. That's why God wants to give them blood to be drinking. And somebody said, how can God be wicked like that? He has removed his own out of the world. Please answer me. If you go into your house and you want to change your house, and then you pick the things that are important and set the rest on fire, will it touch you? God revealed these things to you so that you'll be found worthy to be part of those that will reign with him. My question is, after knowing all this that will befall the earth after rapture, after knowing what will happen in this physical earth, after knowing all that will happen, will you still miss rapture? Why don't you put forth effort? Why don't you decide today to go with him when he comes, so that you can participate in the millennial reign? The suffering will be too much. What we are seeing now, Paul call it light afflictions. I want you to talk to the Lord and ask God for grace. Lord, whatsoever it would take, you have made provision for your sons. You have made provisions for everyone that want to reign with Jesus. But Lord, I ask, give me grace to be steadfast. No matter the challenges that is coming my way, no matter the attack, I want to stand until I make it on the last day. May I not hear like this and fall out. May I not be among those that be left behind. May I not be among those that will receive the mark because of the suffering, because of the law, the global law. Lord, for no reason shall I be left behind. Open your mouth and talk to the Lord. That which would destroy me, help me take it away.